Saber. We're going to be talking about tonight's NBA for gamer. Real quick touch on that. I was a fun day. It was a profitable day. It was a day where you watch your bank. Watch you're currently winning. They'll go down about $300,000 in the last 5 minutes.
What was the most that your current winnings were showing?
About 350,000.
350. Nice.
Somewhere around there, because I was winning the single entry. I also was winning another single entry, literally I think it was like it was a $15 free night. There was another 15,000, and then there was obviously I was up to second in the millionaire thing. So it was a close one. They're hard to win, those $20 ones, especially. That same lineup would have, I think it would have won the 555. So that would have been fun, but didn't have that one in the 555. And I actually did late swap into that lineup and do a few things about what I felt safest with. I wish I would have played Dak as that guy, but I decided on Goff and St. Brown and Keenan Allen. I can't really complain because they were all spectacular. So I know you had a nice day, Sheets. These are always really hard for me these days because I really there's such a huge game changing differences. And it's not like 100,000, it's a million. And nobody in the top 100 had any looked like they had any shot. But then you get the two giant Dak and CD drives, and it happens. But talk a little about your day, and then we'll jump into tonight's NBA. Let's try to forget that.
We can talk for a few minutes actually, because first of all, I know that you you're not the worst, but if God forbid anybody says, "Oh, you're in good shape," you're going to want to punch them in the face. Okay, so I didn't want to say anything like that.
I did get that message from a friend of ours, by the way.
I'm sure that's why, but I know better, right?
Yeah.
So I just said good luck. You know what I mean? But I texted my friend. I said, dude, I think Bobby's going to win $1 million. I literally said that. Maybe I put it in the air, unfortunately, and it happened.
Oh no, it's okay.
He's like, really? I'm like. I said, well, legitimately, I probably think he's probably about 20%, only because of I don't know the variance behind it. You know what I mean? But when you posted it, I mean, you were in whatever third or whatever the hell you were in, or fourth or fifth, 7 out of first, and you had 200 or whatever something PMR, and everybody had 40, and no one else behind you. I couldn't find, but then again, I knew they were out there. I just didn't know where they were.
Right.
And one thing after another. Then the Keenan Allen injury happened. I'm like, oh my God. And then Dallas put out something, and I'm like, oh crap. But and then when Allen was out, then was bad because somebody ahead of you had St. Brown, so you were kind of locked out of first.
Right.
So I was in there, and then I ended up doing really well because unfortunately I had all this Dallas from whenever. But there was I want to tell you one kind of good story, kind of feel good story. But I want to show you the lineup first. I just pulled this up. I don't want to whine, but I feel like I deserved a little bit better. So we talked about what happens when you use the Giants, right? Why would you use the Giants, whatever? Because what happens if you get a 0 or something like that? So this was my best performing lineup in the million. It was I got 57th, and this one had the Giants, who literally got 0, and got all these other guys. I had the Noah Brown, I had the Trey Brittle, all this made sense. But what's weird, I feel like I got kind of robbed a little bit. That how am I only 25th in the power sweep? You know what I mean? How do you get 57th in the Millie Maker, but 20th?
That is kind of crazy. You don't.
Yeah, but the 25th in the stupid power sweep, unbelievable. You know what I mean? So but because I guess Dallas was pretty popular in the But this particular lineup, it just had him and Lamb. It wasn't a double. Oh no, it had Ferguson too. So yeah. But so that I felt a little robbed in that. But so this is kind of a good feel-good story. So I went to the MMA card, the UFC card on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I was a little steamed that DraftKings didn't get me their suite there. It wasn't that steamed. They put me in one like 6 months ago. So whatever. They want to give other somebody a shot. But I gave them a little zinger. I'm like, I hope everybody has fun. All the high rollers at the thing without me. I kept on doing it anyway. So I'm on my way in, and these two people sit next to me. This guy must have been a little younger than me. Must have been 50 or something, with this really hot girlfriend. Okay, it's so funny. When you talk about a hot girlfriend, at my age, you don't talk about hot girlfriend like a 21-year-old. I'm like, this is a real hot young 40-year-old. You know what I mean? Right. That's the way I kind of look. Right. So anyway, so they were talking back and forth. It was I was sitting kind of next to them. They were talking about, and one of them, you could tell it was kind of new people that were in the fights or whatever. He's like, was telling his girlfriend, he was saying, yeah, this guy told me that we're supposed to, all three of our fighters are supposed to be do really well tonight. He told me there's something I got to do. You put in like 500, you win like 7,000. It's like a trifecta or something like that, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And she's like, what? He's like, yeah. It's like a trifecta. You put three, you need all the win. He's like kind of like mansplaining the whole thing to her. He's like, he's like, it's kind of hard to explain, whatever it is. And she goes, oh, you mean a parlay? Right in his face, right? Yeah, I guess so, something like that, whatever. So we're talking, and he was like on the phone with him. Yeah, so what do I got to do here and this? And I said, I can help you with that if you want. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, yeah, I got some guy I know what he's talking about, right? So he said, what do I got to do? I'm like, well, yeah, you got to set up an account and you can put it in for 500. I think you win like 60 days. Like, oh, can I put that in through you? I'm like, no. I don't know you. You know what I mean? We put it in through, and even the girlfriend's like, what are you going to do? Like, are you going to win? You're going to like check this guy down and have him pay you or something like that? I'm like, no, but I could probably help you set up an account, right? And he says, oh yeah. So the two of them were like struggling. They had the cell phones, but I was walking them through it, and they were getting when I was set up a DraftKings account, and I showed them how to do it, and they downloaded right on the train in the whole thing, and I showed them how to put the bet in. And I even like texted my VIP host, and I'm like, listen, these guys are having a little trouble setting up the account, whatever it is. He said, oh, any issues, let me know. And I said, and after I got them set up, I went to, I said, thank you very much. Then he started talking about Palestine and stuff. I wanted to get away from, this whole thing, right? Oh, so anyway, so they left, and I texted my my VIP host, and I said, so listen, so by the way, they just put in $1,000 deposit. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, you're welcome. I bet you no one else who's sitting in the hashtag suite is setting up a new account for you today, right? Whatever it is. I said, so they lost their parlay. I even needled the VIP again. By the way, that they're down $1,000 already. You can send my commission, whatever it is. So anyway, then I got home, and he said, the VIP said, oh, just so you know, I put a 555 entry into the million in your account or something like that. And I ended up using that as my third entry, and it cashed for 2,000. So
nice. There you go. Look,
there it is.
There's a nice story.
I played 3 of those 555s, and I cashed in all 3 of them. So
wow, beautiful, man. Yeah, you had a nice day.
Nice. So
yeah, well, I guess we try to put it behind us. I guess for me, I tried to put it behind me. You had a good day, and I guess it wasn't really a sweat thing. So, but I just got to put this stuff behind me. I've gotten a little bit better at it as the years have gone on, but it is always a little tilting when you think you have a chance. But ready to talk about NBA tonight. Nice little 4-gamer. We don't have to worry about the 15-game Monday slate like they did last week, which was just nuts. And I'm curious. I haven't double checked the schedule, but I think we're going to see more balanced schedules coming up. So that's a little bit less stressful for the basketball stuff. So with that said, the games don't start till 7:30 tonight. Sheets, are you going to go live with me at 6:30?
I'm good, and then we'll do the football also. So
yeah, I've got to be gone at 4:30, but up till then, I plan on recording it.
Oh, you want to do that? Okay, I was going to suggest the opposite. I was going to.
Okay. So I was thinking go 3:30 to 4 for NBA, and then.
Well, that's what I would have done, and then 7:30, and then 4:30. But I was going 4:30.
Oh, the only problem with that is that I have to get it. It's a long car story. Anyway, I'll tell you about it some other time.
Well, I'll hang on there with you, but you don't usually have to get up to do your lineups at like 3:30 or something, or 4.
Yeah, but I'll have my basketball one because it's only 4 games. I'll
figure out. We'll get people what they need. That's for
yeah, sounds good. All right. Well, let's jump into it, man. What do you got? You got your Knicks in Boston here tonight. What do you like in this game? This is probably one of the less interesting games on the slate from a DFS perspective to me, but I think there's some things you could do. It's a small slate. We want to find ways to get different. What do you got here?
Yeah, so like overall on the slate, I mean, they're the values in like other games, and the value doesn't really even look that great. So it's so usually when stuff like this happens, it becomes kind of a middling type build for me. So unless anything else pops, I mean, guys like Giannis and Sabonis and whatever is going to be not where I want to go. So I'm going to be naturally drawn to these kind of mid-range plays. So I think the Randall thing, even less obviously the matchup is atrocious, but whatever, it's a 4-game slate. I think something like Randall and the other guy from the Knicks, Brunson, makes sense just in the context of the slate, unless the value gets like a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, like Boston again, like I think like in a vacuum, none of these guys look like really great plays. And when I'm talking about these guys, I'm not even talking about Tatum. Like take your pick between Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown. You know what I mean? Like if you play one of them alongside of the Nick guy or whatever it is, or even two of them with the two Knicks maybe. And hey, maybe listen, it's probably got a bad over under, whatever. But 4 games, you could be a little bit finessey. So yeah, that's where I'm kind of at. I'm probably not going to get to any cheapos in this game, and I'm probably just the idea of just playing those mid range guys like I just mentioned.
Yeah, I think that if I was like, it would be something I would consider just forcing a Nick into like every lineup because they're going to be unowned outside of Randall. And it's a small slate. It's just Jalen Brunson at 5% ownership, I think is interesting. You know what I mean? And I think that those ownerships are pretty accurate. I think RJ Barrett at 5%, you could certainly make a case, but nothing from just a basketball standpoint makes me want to play much for this game. I think Jaylen Brown and Kristaps would be my favorite plays on the other side, but I'm good with Tatum too or Holiday. I just nobody who really stands out. So I might have to revisit that later, and maybe I have a chalky build. I can get a little different by maybe playing one of these Knicks guys instead of some of the stuff we have coming up a little bit later. Just hoping it stays close. All right, a little bit better of a pace game, at least for Toronto. What do you got in this one, Chiefs?
Well, the usual. Well, not the usual, because Washington, you have. I didn't know Gafford. Oh, he came back. He was out. Oh, then he came back, huh?
Yeah.
He was out, then he came back, and this is a back-to-back. Even though he's not in the injury report, I think it's definitely worth speculating that he could be out. I don't know. We'll have to think about it. I
don't think that he's rumored to be out, right? Like it's just.
No, he's not. He's not rumored to be out, but he was out. He was injured, then he came back, and now it's a back-to-back.
Was he injured? Because they've been doing this thing with his minutes, where they sometimes just don't play him many minutes. 3 of the last 5 games, he played 19, 13, and 16 minutes. They've been playing I don't think it's an injury thing. I think they're just playing Koulibaly a lot more, and they really like this young kid. So I think that's really what we're seeing that it's been more Koulibaly.
Well, so the value guy that I've heard talked about or whatever is Danilo Gallinari on 3,700. I see him getting projected with kind of high ownership. Also, I personally don't have a projection that's great. That's that great for him. So we'll have to just take another look at it. If in fact this guy's out, I'm just totally making it up. I guess that he could be out. But you have what's the guy with the
Koulibaly,
weird name, right? Koulibaly, and then even what's his name? Even Muscala could come into play if this all happens. But Koulibaly is supposedly 3,900 could be a good value play, but even he didn't look that great for me. I don't know. So for me, I'd probably just go back to the same stupid stuff. Like the Avdia 20% owned. Do I really want to do that? You can keep trying to play pool and lose money. I mean that's always possible. Kuzma finally had. So Kuzma, I was about to say, finally had a not to say bad game, but this Charlotte game was really weird. I mean, why is he only playing 29 minutes? I don't. I guess the other games he only played 31, but finally a game where they don't get blown out, and he's only in there for 29 minutes. It seems kind of strange, but I guess that's what I would do, though. I mean, probably try to avoid the stars and scrubs, avoid the value, I guess, and try to play something like Kuzma. And then on the Toronto side, I don't know, Barnes. I mean, they're testing me at 9K if you want to know the truth. But he's seemingly passed every other test that's been around. Anunoby questionable. So we got to obviously wait to see what happens there. I mean, if he's out, as it's saying here, and if Trent's also out, then we get to maybe get you some revenge, maybe with Garrett Temple, it says. I don't know. We'll see. As long as you don't let him take the ball out of bounds on the side, we should be in good shape. But yeah, I don't know. Kuzma and Toronto, maybe. I don't want to play Van Vliet. I don't know. Maybe Anunoby if he plays. I don't know. What do you like here?
Yeah, this is this is not a slate where I love a ton of things. You got to hope the game stays close, first of all, if you want to play too much from Toronto. But it is a great pace matchup for them. I think the way you split it up is you play, I think one of Koulibaly, Gafford, or Gallinari, but I prefer Koulibaly a little bit. Although he did just play his career high in minutes yesterday. And per minute, Gallinari, like on a back-to-back, he's not a guy we usually think about, but we don't have a whole lot of options. And I think that Gafford is. I just think you're going to run into the 35 fantasy point games and you're going to run into like the 10 fantasy point games. He's just there's going to be some days they're really trying to play all these guys. And that's why you can see their minutes that none of them are playing the minutes that we thought they might at the beginning of the season. Nobody projected for more than 32 minutes on their team. And it's kind of making things a little bit tough today. So obviously not a great matchup either against Toronto. So nobody who stands out. I might force in a little bit of, a low-owned Kuzma, a low-owned Poole. I might get to as a way of getting different, but nobody I'm really that excited about. I think Siakam is a really good play at 8K and 7,700 on FanDuel. Anunoby and Gary Trent both being questionable is a tough one to know what to do with. I'm okay with the price on Scotty Barnes, but I also would be fine playing Schroeder. I think I'm going to have at least one Toronto player on all my lineups. In order right now, I have it Siakam, Scotty Barnes, then Schroeder, then Podol, and then it's Precious. But all of them are in play. And if we lose Gary Trent and/or Anunoby, I think we can probably expand a little bit more, but we won't know that till a little later today. So I think Siakam is a solid play to answer Jolly's question. I'm going to be playing plenty of them tonight, but definitely always some blowout risk with Washington, especially going to another country. All right. Do you want to start off Chicago and Milwaukee?
Sure. Vooch 7,600 maybe for Chicago. Again, I don't think I can get up to Giannis today. I guess maybe you're just supposed to play the fishy value and just get up to Giannis. But I currently am not seeing it. Again, so it's going to be more middling for me, at least early. So either Vooch or DeRozan or Levine all seem to make sense. Even Kobe White, not the end of the world. And then what do I do on Milwaukee? What do you want to play, Bobby Portis? I don't know. I'm probably off Milwaukee. How can I? I mean, I got to play somebody, right, on the slate.
Right.
So far, I mean, we'll get to obviously some cheapos. You do some stuff you do from Sacramento, but
yeah.
But can I get away? I mean, I can get away with 7K guys from each game, right? Almost.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what I'm going to go back to, something like Vooch or DeRozan.
Yeah. So I just want to. I think Kobe White's the best play on Chicago. He's been really good. He's had 6 straight games where he's over 26 fantasy points, 3 straight games over 31. The minutes have been there. The usage has been better than we've seen in the past. While he's playing with the starters, still not incredible usage, but solid enough. The problem is they always bring in Caruso, Williams, and you just feel like you're going to get him squeezed out of there. But he's played 30 minutes in basically all the games this season. And if this game stays close, even reasonably, I think he's a really strong play. I think that Vooch is my second favorite. I did a little digging this morning because I wanted to see if there was any trends I could find from the history because Milwaukee plays the drop coverage. It should be good for 3-point shooters. Oddly, DeRozan has the widest range of outcomes of them of any player, but has had the highest ceiling. And Levine has had some really awful games against them recently with one really awesome game in there. And then Vooch basically always has a good game against them. Just thought I'd throw that out there because I did want to see if there was anything to pick on the coverage, and Vooch hopefully will go back to shooting his threes. And then on FanDuel, I think it's easier to get to Giannis. On DraftKings, like you, I'm having a hard time doing that. I do think I like the idea of Beauchamp when I thought he was going to be a low-owned option we could consider. I think even with Lillard back, I think that Beauchamp is still going to have a little bit of ownership, and it's a very volatile play. Maybe you could talk me into Malik Beasley and just hope he gets hot. But they play a lot of other guys there. Lillard's back, so it's not going to be freeing up any space. And I'm not as interested in Milwaukee. Although I'm again on FanDuel, I think you play Giannis with one of those Bulls guys, and I think you could play at least one of the Bulls in all of your lineups. For me, that's mostly going to be White, Vooch, and then Levine. But I think they're all interesting for sure.
I want to go back to the Knick game for just a minute. Because as I'm going through this, I'm going to need these 5Ks. Like you mentioned Kobe White or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I want to recommend someone for the Knick game that we didn't talk about too much. And the guy is really, his role is kind of in good shape, whatever. Emmanuel Quickly. Okay. He's got mid-20s minutes. He's been performing well enough. 38 fantasy points, 30 fantasy points. He's got another 33. So if this is the range we're looking at, I think I'm going to bump him up a little bit. So quickly, only because you mentioned Kobe White, not that they're the same player at all, but just that range I think is going to be more necessary for me. And we're going to we'll get to some more chalkier guys in that range, I guess, in a second. But I think quickly is actually a good play.
Yeah, his usage has been really, it's sort of been all over the place, but mostly when, he's had a lot of games in that usage in the 25 to 30, it helps a little bit that Derek was out because that was where he was getting some extra, upticks. Yeah. But yeah, I don't mind that idea. I think it'll be low owned too, and I think that's certainly worth playing on this slate. All right, late night hammer, Cleveland, Sacramento. What do you got?
I could start. So this is where most of the chalk seems to be coming from. You have Keon Ellis at 3,900, who's projecting to be the top point per dollar playing the slate for now. You have Kevin Huerter, who I was not a believer last time he was chalk, and he smashed in fine style, like 34 minutes, and then there you have it, 51 fantasy points. And then the other bit of chalk is going to be Malik Monk, who I have a love-hate relationship with him. I played him when he scored 11, didn't play him when he scored 56, and played him when he scored 28. I think we have to sort of go back to the idea that he's not the type of guy you want to play as chalk, but there's so little to play today. That you got to respect this range. So like Monk, Huerter, 5,900, 6K, and I guess Ellis is the best of the cheapos. Do I have to play him? I don't have to, but it definitely looks like the best of a bunch of kind of crappier alternatives. So he's definitely showing up pretty good. Cleveland, Jared Allen, 5,700 at that position. Well, listen, that position's always whatever. And back to the mid-range, Darius Garland, 7,200. I mean, this is the price I want to get to. Maybe I prefer listen, if the Sacramento guy is going to have where the value is, then you play Garland as a run back there instead of I was going to play Brunson, right? But and again, Brunson's going to be like very low.
Yeah.
But let's save $1,000 with Garland. I think he's pretty reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So on the Cleveland side, I've got it ranked. What did I have? I have Garland, Mobley, Mitchell, Allen, Struss. But I actually think that I'm going to up Struss as being more of my priority. He's been very consistent with them. The one that's going to be low owned, and it's interesting because he's been really good lately, and this matchup sort of seems like it would have his name on it. Usually would be Karis LeVert. So I actually think Karis LeVert is a very low owned option because the price is interesting to pivot off of some of the chalk. But I do have a rule. I will have at least one Cav in all my lineups as of right now. And I'll do the same with the Bulls. I'll do the same with Toronto. It's really hard to find priorities. I do think Keon Ellis qualifies because he's getting enough minutes and he's 3,900 or we don't have other value. My next favorite would be Huerter and Monk. I think you could toss a coin up between the two of those. Sabonis at lower ownership on DraftKings, where he's going to have some ownership on FanDuel, is kind of interesting. Technically a tough matchup, but there's still no De'Aaron Fox. I know that it hasn't really benefited his game in general, and I've sort of pointed that out on big slates. On a smaller slate at low ownership at 10K, maybe you could argue that he's the better play than Giannis. He's put up 56 and 60 in the last two games, and we've seen Cleveland leak a little bit more to the center spots this year than they have in years past. So Huerter, Ellis, my priorities, and then get to some Monk, some Sabonis potentially as a spend up. And again, going to make sure I have one player from the Bulls, one player from the Cavs, and one player Toronto, pretty much all my lineups. Who those will be, I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure it out because it is a tough slate, as they all have been, and it's definitely tough to get different. So I do think that guys like LeVert, as my get different guys for the slate, LeVert, Brunson, I like your call on Quickly as a potential one. But those are guys you can consider, and then Sabonis. Those are guys you can consider getting low ownership on, and I think it's worthwhile to take that shot.
I would add in Keegan Murray. I don't know if you mentioned him from Sacramento.
I don't think he's going to be low owned.
Oh, I'm just saying in general. I mean,
yeah.
He played 40 minutes his last game. You know what I mean? Like,
I love the kid.
And if again, like I'm probably even like a lineup like this that has no studs, I still need to go down to like Koulibaly to make work. But it's either him or in that range. It's going to be either him, Gallinari, or the Ellis.
Right.
But yeah,
or two of them.
or two of them. Exactly. I mean, you do that. I mean, that's you talk about what you get for it. If you did play Ellis in here, then you could get to one of those studs like pretty easily, actually.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what people are going to do. So maybe we shouldn't. I don't know. It's tough. And it's
tough. We'll have better stuff at 6:30, but because it's just hopefully we'll get some news on the Toronto situation. If Anunoby plays, I really like him. If he doesn't, if anything happens with he and Gary Trent not playing, that's going to open up a lot more for us. So
I would be remiss not to point out that this Cleveland Sacramento game is a 2-hour break. So you could backload that game and then mess around. Like if you played like Garland's and Ellis, for example, and you didn't like the way things were going, you could go like to Donovan Mitchell at maybe lower ownership, and you know what I mean, or something like that. Actually, you couldn't do it that way.
Yeah, you'd have to do it the other way around. But if you played if you played Garland and Herder or something,
right? Then you can play Mitchell Ellis,
or something.
But that doesn't really do much for you because
it doesn't do much ownership wise at the moment. But maybe a little later today it might. I think. But what you can do is you can play LeVert instead of Garland and things.
Right.
Like that. That's interesting.
Maybe you go back. Maybe Harrison Barnes. Nah, I don't know. Did Duarte ever get in? Remember we were speculating that he only got 5 minutes.
It's just I don't know what they're and it's not like they're winning either. They're not playing good basketball. I'm really not sure what's happening with that team as a whole. They actually did win their last two, so they've been playing a little bit better. But I'm sort of confused by their rotations. And even the Ellis thing, I would be saying on a large slate that this is probably not chalk you should be going for. I think there is upside, don't get me wrong, but we just know they have a lot of bodies, and he's, in this situation without Fox, he played 1 minute, then he played 14, then he played 21, then he played 30. So he's trending the right direction. Doesn't mean that he's necessarily going to play that 30 minutes that he played the other night again. I just wouldn't count on that. So anyway, but yeah, as of right now, I'm plugging him in. It's just, he's going to be in all my lineups at the moment. We don't know.
What's Andre Drummond? He's up to 4,700.
Kind of an interesting one, though. He just a minute or too little, right? He did put up 33 in 14 minutes the other day. That's pretty absurd.
Now, when is Jordan Poole going to get 50?
He's been horrible.
Like never or soon? I mean,
I don't know. This does not seem like the matchup for it.
No?
He looks really terrible. And I don't know what they're doing in Washington with this spreading out the minutes thing. They have nothing to tank for. They don't have their pick. I don't believe they do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just seems like very, very strange to me that they're the way they're handling things. But we'll be live with you guys at 6:30 Eastern, and we'll have a little more figured out then. I will post my early builds and all my stuff in the Discord.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Good luck. Good luck today.